Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the episode of On the Air with Tim and Ken. Ken, we're back. Good to see you.
Tim, good to see you again.
It's been a little
Good
while.
to be back for another episode.
Yep, good to be back. Good to see you. All right. So tonight, I want to thank we have some subscribers, some viewers. I want to thank all of them for participating, the feedback, and I know Ken, you want to say something to them also.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for their time. We really enjoy doing this. It's episode 17. If you're first time watching, Tim and I have known each other for 40 years. Went to school together. So we're just, going to talk about some sports business. Don't take us too seriously. We're just here to have some fun and enjoy the next 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, we're just here for fun, so everyone relax. I got to say, Ken, I'm going to shock you a little bit. In the podcast world, we don't have the most subscribers. I know you're shocked, but we don't have the most subscribers. But we do have. We have some of the best viewers and some of the best subscribers. I got to bring up two real quick. We have Jennifer down in North Carolina. She's a superstar. I know she's promoting us. She's got the hat. She's like
promoting.
The mayor.
Yep.
She's the mayor down there. If you see her, get her a cup of coffee and then talk to her. I'm just telling you, get her a cup of coffee, then talk to her. So
Dunkin' Donuts. Got to be Dunkin' Donuts.
Send us the bill, but just get us the coffee.
Yep.
And then up here in the Boston area, one of our other subscribers is Mary Jane. And Mary Jane, she saw your episode. It might have been number 9, where you laid out the case for LeBron going to the Knicks. And she followed that, and you hit a nerve there. So she's telling me she's trying to reach out to LeBron through some sort of source or mail or whatever to get his input or to have him watch the episode. So keep going on that, Mary Jane. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. That was a fun episode. We had some good laughs on that, and but we're looking forward to tonight.
Yeah. So LeBron, we'll come back to LeBron October, November, December. We'll see where that is. We'll stay tuned.
That story's not over.
Hasn't started yet. It will. So disclaimers. You hear it all the time. We just said don't take us too seriously. This is just for fun and entertainment. Like I said, don't react to it in any way. Later on, we're going to get to sports gambling. We're not pro or against sports gambling. We're just talking about factual things. You can do whatever you want, live your life, have a good life, and we're not promoting it. We're not opposed to it. People know me on horse racing and other things too, so you kind of know where I stand. But we want to lay that up. But we're not encouraging anyone to do something they shouldn't do. But just have fun and relax. So
I hear that you may do some cliff diving next year in the Boston Harbor.
Thinking about it. So what Ken's alluding to is they had the Red Bull World Championship cliff diving, the finals in Boston over this past weekend, and there may be even a bigger crowd if I show up. But this is a worldwide event. They have 4 events around the world, and they get typically 12 men and 12 women to compete. And there's prize money involved, and there's a world championship. It was this past weekend was the 4th event and the final event, and it's a cumulative scoring event over the weekend. And so I have the winners here. I don't know them well. From the men's category, it was Gary Hunt from France. He's won this event 11 times. So he wins the King Kahiko Trophy. And King Kahiko was apparently from Hawaii, where all this started about 250 years ago. And in the women's category, Rihanna Iflin from Australia, her 9th consecutive win. And this year, on this year, they have the 4 events around the world. They compete. They start in the Philippines, they went to Italy, Bosnia, and they ended up in Boston Harbor. She won all 4 events. So it wasn't just cumulative. She won them all. Now, I got to tell you, I did a little bit of snooping around on this. I didn't go to it. The finals were Saturday morning in Boston Harbor. It's a little chilly up here. That it happened to be a cold morning. The water temperature was probably around, for Boston, it was warm, about 63 degrees. So if you're down south, 63, you're not jumping in.
You're not jumping in.
But this will end the debate. If there ever was still a debate on who's smarter, men or women, this will end that debate. Now, the prize money is the same. The men dive off of an 88.5-foot platform. The women, 69 feet. Who's smarter? That should end that debate forever. Now, when they get going, and they got to land feet first so they don't get hurt, Then they're doing swirls and twirls and everything acrobatic, right? And 50 miles an hour, 53 miles an hour, they accelerate to when they hit the harbor. It's crazy, unbelievable. One of the athletes said the real competition is against the voice in your head. They all say they get up there on that platform, their mind is racing, and they got to just find a way. It's all about in the head. They can do the flips, they can do all that stuff. They can do that fine. It's up on that platform, way up, jumping into, in this case, the Boston Harbor.
This sounds like the agony of defeat on the ABC Sports with the ski jumping, right? Like
Yeah,
you're just waiting for somebody to
yeah.
wipe out, right? Like
Incredible,
it's
incredible athletes. What a mental capacity too, to be able to, some say, well, the Tim, there's no mental capacity because they're crazy, but they can focus to do this in a safe manner and try to get style points. I mean, style points. I'm just trying to survive here. So, incredible event. They had about 45,000 spectators last year because they had the same event in Boston. It wasn't the finals, so it's been well received in Boston. It's free to you go. It's free. Watch it. Have a great day. See something really, really unique. So I just wanted to bring that up. You're not going to see a lot of that on if you're around the country. You're not going to see a lot of that. You might see it down in Acapulco once a year when they used to show that stuff. But I want to bring that up. I thought it was a really neat event. Local to me up here. Didn't know much about it, but it's a world class event, and my hat's off to all of them. They get about $37,000 per event, and then the winners get
wow.
something else. They probably get some aspirin or something. I don't know, but they're not in it for the money. Let's face it. They're not in it for the money. Incredible athletes. So amazing event right here in Boston. So
Very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, I love these unique things that, aren't on page one that, we kind of find and stumble upon. So
yeah,
it'd be a really interesting event. It's free to go watch
yeah.
with, right? Ticket prices everywhere going out, being outrageous. It would just be a cool event to go to on a nice day.
Yeah, Boston in September. The weather's spectacular. You get the city of Boston, all that history, the harbor. If you're up there, you can just put it on the list. I'm going to go that weekend because I got other things to do. You're not going to be there for 10 hours. You can be there for an hour or two and catch it and leave and do it. But I want to give a preview of what else we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to get into the Ryder Cup. We're going to get into your experience on streaming. I don't know how that went. I haven't really wrestled with it too much. And then we're going to get into sports gambling, something we started last time. At least I tried to start. I got a little tongue-tied on it, but I got through it. We're going to pick up on part 2 of it tonight and go from there. So let's get to one of our favorite events coming up this weekend, Ryder Cup. I'm going to tee it
Ryder
up.
Cup, yeah. So we're recording Tuesday night before the Ryder Cup. I'm back in the New York area. It's all over the news. It's going to be Friday through Sunday at Bethpage Black on Long Island. We've talked about it a little bit. The weather looks good. It's been very dry up here. They're going to get some decent rain on Thursday, so they've moved up the opening ceremony to Wednesday. It's we've talked a little bit about how the course isn't what you would consider a typical match play course.
Yeah.
More one of those Northeast tree line courses that you see in the U.S. Open. So playing so late in the summer, well, in the fall actually, it'll be interesting to see how the course has made it out. It's been very dry up here. Are the roughs going to be burnt out? Are they going to be brown? I'm sure they were able to keep the greens and the fairways green, with water, but you can't water everywhere.
Right.
So, I read a story about Paul Azinger was on the Trey Wingo broadcast, and he had a really interesting take. And he's the Ryder Cup captain, the one of Valhalla. If you follow golf at all, you know who Paul Azinger was. He was an announcer, a longtime PGA player, and he just thought it was a really poor choice for the Ryder Cup for the U.S. team because it's not a course that the U.S. team plays a lot on. So there's no really home course advantage from familiarity. And that the European team always seems to pick a course that is played on the European tour. And if I went back to 1987 and there was 10 European Ryder Cup sites, and each site was a European tour event. So they see those courses every year where they get, familiar with the course and really develop a home course advantage. Where the last time there was a pro event, on Bethpage was the 19 PGA Championship. So it's kind of, he thought, a missed opportunity, and it was going to be a challenge for the U.S. I mean, the crowds obviously will be astronomical and very pro U.S. But he thought from a playing standpoint that there wasn't really going to be much of an advantage, if any, from the U.S. playing at Bethpage.
Like you said, it's a Northeast course. I was reading they expect about 50,000 fans per day up there. There'll be, and that, then you get the, like you said, the practice rounds, how the rough will get matted down and things like that, where the people are going to walk. But that just tells me now, Bethpage is a public golf course. So
Yes.
Saturday greens, I'm going to have a problem this Saturday because I paid my $43 and I thought I could get a good tee time, but I'm not getting in for some reason.
Well,
But
they closed the course a month ago, so they closed it about a month ago for to prepare for the Ryder Cup. There's 5 courses at Bethpage State Park,
the facility, yeah.
so they have closed it. They're bussing everybody in from Jones Beach, which is 35 minutes away. That's what we did when we went, and
Yep.
we went to the Open in 2002. It was flooding rain. You couldn't park at the course. We parked down at Jones Beach and took the bus.
The rough was that high. Yeah.
So it's a long day. The first tee time is around 7:05, and there's only about 12 hours of daylight to get. The format is there's 4 team matches in the morning, 4 2-man team matches in the afternoon, and so you're trying to get 8 matches, and say they go 5+ hours each. You're trying to get that into 12 hours of daylight. It could be a challenge. The good thing is the weather looks like it's going to hold up. So
right before we went on, we were talking about the format, and you laid out for me, and I knew there's morning rounds Friday and Saturday, and morning and afternoons each Friday and Saturday, and the match play on Sunday were all 12 play. But on Friday and Saturday, the captain, Mr. Keegan, he gets to pick the format for the morning and the format for the afternoon. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the home team gets to select. So there's alternate shot, what we would know as alternate shot, and 4-ball, best ball.
Yeah.
So you could pick whether you want to play which one in the morning, which one in the afternoon. It has traditionally been alternate shot in the morning and 4-ball in the afternoon. I don't know the logic behind it, and Keegan did keep that way of doing the matches. So you'll have eight out of the 12 team guys playing in the morning, 8 guys playing in the afternoon.
Yep.
Now, there's no requirement that you play one of your guys in. The only time all 12 will play is on Sunday. So you could play as many as 5 matches.
You could play the same 8 guys in the morning,
or as few as 1. You could play the same 8 guys
both days
for all the match plays.
And
years ago when Europe was more top heavy with like Nick Faldo and Seve Ballesteros and Ian Woosnam and players like that, they did play 5 matches a lot. They tried to, I think you'll see most play 4.
Yeah.
The bigger names play 4 unless somebody's really got a hot hand or one side is really down and it's like, look, Rory, you got to go out there and play again. We just got to put, suck it up. Or it could be the U.S. Scotty, go out there and play again.
Yeah.
So but it's a blind draw. So you place your team, you pick your 4 teams, and you place them 1 through 4, and the other captain picks them 1 through 4, and then they reveal. And whoever you put on line, your line 1 is going to play whoever the European put on their line 1. So
your line 1, it doesn't have to be your supposedly best golfers. They could be whoever you just call number 1.
Right. You're trying. You may be putting your faster players on line 1, right, so that they're not holding up the groups behind them. And maybe if you have a slower twosome, they're going to be in the last slot, right, so that they're not holding up. You want the pace of play to move. Plus, you're also trying to figure out where the other team is putting their players. So it is a little bit of
it's a game of
game. So.
Yeah. And it's a game, it's like a chess match. What are they thinking? And then also talk about how, we'll just say the U.S. team, Keegan's he's got to match guys, the U.S. guys to play together. four ball one thing and alternate shot another thing. He's got to have compatible players.
Definitely in the alternate shot because they need to play with the same golf ball.
Yeah.
So, you're going to want to put together two guys that are both playing Titleist golf balls. If that,
Right.
one guy's got to adjust and play. You can't hit a tee shot, replace the golf ball with the other guys. So you need to play with the same golf ball. So there is that challenge.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't that way years ago, but it is now with everybody having contracts and everybody's specific. We know golfers are very finicky about their equipment. That you're going to want to play with guys together that at least on the alternate shot part that hit the same golf ball.
Yeah, they want their routine. They're very finicky, picky, superstitious, whatever you want to call it. So if you change the golf ball, they might even want a certain number of the golf ball. I mean, you can get down to that level of detail for these
Well,
guys.
yeah, it's going to be who's flexible, right? Which one's going to be a little flexible, for the good of the team. So I'll leave you with this trivia question. They have put in a number of helipads to helicopter people in to the Ryder Cup. And the question is, how many helipads have they set up for the Ryder Cup? I'll give you a hint. There's 5 golf courses, 4 Bethpage, Black, and then 4 other golf courses. So there is a lot of land there.
I was just going to guess 6. I don't know.
15 helipads.
15. All right. So I don't know which one you're landing on, but
we should be able to get into one of them. They're going to try to helicopter in 3,000 people a day.
Wow.
I mean, if you live near the golf course, you're going to be hearing helicopters all weekend long. I mean, it's going to be miserable.
I hope the weather cooperates. I think you said Friday might be a little iffy.
Thursday it's supposed to rain, which is why they've kind of postponed activities. So it should be okay the rest of the weekend when they're actually playing. So they may miss a practice day.
Yeah. So getting back real quick, we've been on this for a little while, but getting back to Keegan Bradley and the fact that he could have played, chose not to. And once you realize and talk about him setting up the course as captain.
So the home captain has control of the course. Usually it's in with consultation of the PGA of America. But as the home captain, he could set up the length of the course, the width of the fairways, the speed of the greens. So, if Bryson hits at 380, he could clear out, in theory, everything 380 is 100 yards wide fairway. So it's been tradition that the home captain is in charge of the course setup. I don't know, with the roughs, what the he could have wanted heavy roughs, but the weather may not have permitted that. So it'll be interesting to see, the course setup as each day goes. I just hope it's competitive. You want it to come down to Sunday afternoon and the final matches they hope everybody gets their money's worth. And it's a really competitive, fun event.
It should be fun. And then you mentioned the last podcast. I want to just mention it again. I think you said that Keegan being the captain, he's the only person from the U.S. that can talk to his players on the course. So
only the captains can talk to their players on the course. So even though there's 4 or 5 assistant captains, they will follow the other groups around, but they cannot talk directly to the players on the course.
So we got a lot of good little tidbits there on how it sets up the format, the randomness of who you're picking and all. But it's random to us, but there's a strategy to it. Like you said, it's a mind game between the two captains on trying to pick.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah. And then see how you do in the morning round. How did you react? This guy's not playing well. You got to pivot. So I think Keegan.
I'm sure day one is set, and then you'll look and see how day one went, and maybe adjust overnight. I would imagine that they know what they're going to do day one, definitely with the 2 groups. The golfers wanted time to prepare. You just can't say, at
right unless something crazy happens, right?
Right.
A slight injury, or I'm just not
exactly.
playing. Yeah, I'm really So that the first round starts Friday morning. Enjoy it. Get
7 o'clock. Yep, get up. If you're on the West Coast, it's going to be 4 a.m. Get up.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Have fun. All right, we got to move along. We're going to run out of time again, but I gotta ask you. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We didn't know how this is going to work. I don't know if it still works. I didn't really get into it. Streaming, sports streaming. I think you were tangled up with it.
I'll just take a minute. We want to get to sports gambling.
Yeah.
If you've watched before, I split my time between Connecticut and North Carolina. I gave up my cable in Connecticut. The cable I have in North Carolina has provided some streaming services, which I've kind of used up. I'm back currently in Connecticut right now. And God, it's terrible. I mean, it's hard to find stuff. You can't channel surf, which I like to do. But I think this is where it's going. I had lunch with a friend, and he's got 3 girls in their 30s. They're all married with families, and none of them have cable. So I think the streaming is where it's going. I don't particularly enjoy it. I'm used to channel surfing and being able to look at stuff, but yeah, I'm not really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's got to work its way out. You got to figure out what you need and how to operate it. I'm nowhere near that yet, but
yeah, it's hard to switch between, if you're watching a sporting event on one streaming and you want to go to a sporting event on another streaming, you got to get out and go back in and instead of just hitting like the last channel button. So, but we'll keep you updated. Not big on streaming.
No, but that's what the future is. So
That's definitely what the future is. Yes.
You either get used to it or you're not going to like it ever. So,
yep.
All right. So our last episode, we got through a little bit of the archaic history on sports gambling, and it's a vast topic, sports gambling. So what I want to try to do here is just kind of try to boil it down a little bit with maybe a few anecdotes about sports gambling. And we're going to talk about it and conclude on this subject in our next podcast and why we've been talking about this a little bit, where we think it's going and why it's important, not just for the sports gaming industry, but for the integrity of the sports and for people like you and I and everybody that watches it like sports. We think that there might be something to follow here going forward. But I just want to give you
just to clarify before you start, this is legal sports gambling we're talking about.
Yeah, legal
we don't care about the illegal. This is the legal sports gambling that is now everywhere you turn something on.
Yeah, it's legal in over 30 states, 38 states. You know what's interesting? Now you got me on another path. But it's not legal in California or Texas, 2 of the biggest states. It's not there yet. So look at all that, and they're working that out. And I saw an interesting interview with the CEO. Jason Robbins. He's the CEO. He's one of the co-founders of DraftKings. I pick on DraftKings because they're publicly traded and they're a standalone company, so I can get good numbers on them. When I look at FanDuel, they're a subsidiary, so I can't really get hard numbers on them because they're blended in, so to speak. So, but FanDuel is a subsidiary of a much bigger company than DraftKings. DraftKings is probably the second player in the whole industry. So you got a big one when I talk about DraftKings, and also they're headquartered out of Boston. And I saw this gentleman, Jason Robbins, on CNBC with Jim Cramer the other day. He did an interview about 3 weeks ago. He talked about a lot of what they're dealing with, legalization, like herding cats, like he talked about California, Texas. You got a lot of stakeholders there, and they're working through all those things. And but it's an incredible business. They went public. They started DraftKings back in 2012. And some of you may know back then, they started all this stuff as a legal daily fantasy football or basketball or golf, whatever they had, the platform. And that's how they launched it. It wasn't, quote, illegal gambling. It was those sports fantasy leagues that were quite popular, and they still are. And that's how they got going. That's how they got their technology going. That's how they got their funding going. That's how they got their footing stable. They got all that going. And then they really worked towards the legalized gambling, which became legal in 2018, at least allowed by the federal government under the U.S. Supreme Court. So states could open it up then. So that's when everything exploded up to 2018. In 2022, I believe, DraftKings went public. 2020, they went public. They went public at $40 a share. Today, they got a lot of debt. They're over $1 billion in debt. This will probably be the first year that DraftKings makes a profit. So they're going to.
Wow.
And he talked about that. He said during football season, the marketing effort is incredible. You see that, bet $5, win 300 if you win. They want to get you in. They want to get you, like he said, we want you to experience a win. We want you to like that. So that's why they make it a layup for you. And they're all buying their customers, and they're trying to grow. Now they've had tons of litigation against them from some of these terrible stories, compulsive gamblers, things like that. They've worked through them all, and they're trying to be fully regulated and fully transparent because they want this to work. Obviously, they have so much invested in this, and they're working through it. They're working with Congress. Like Ken said early on, this is not illegal sports gambling, so that's why their platforms and FanDuel, they're real, they're legit. I'm not on there, which is fine. Doesn't mean that someday I won't be. But if there's an injury, they pay people out, things like that. And it's not like the old days where you had to pay your money to the bookie or whoever first and then wait to see the game. Now you do it
I'm
on
sure. I'm
credit.
sure you can do this all on your phone, right? I mean,
Your phone, I
they
don't do
probably
that.
make it so easy. I don't know
Yeah,
how the software works, but
a
I'm
credit
sure
card, I don't know, but
this can all be done on your phone. That they're trying to make it
yeah, the platform is
as
instant.
as easy as you can to
Yeah,
to place these bets, and we'll talk more about this next episode as we're slowly running out of time. But
yeah.
their partnerships with the professional sport leagues, who went from 1,000% against it prior to the 2018 ruling to, oh well, we're cool with it. Let's become business partners.
What they've done is they've
Is
partnered in a kind of a cute way. I did a little looking at it, and like the NFL, the NHL, the golf, they're all partners with one or the other, but they're partners in the fantasy leagues. Not necessarily all the sports gambling yet, but they're partners. So they're fully aligned. You see the ads, you'll see it there. We're partners with this, done that one. The official fantasy league, you know, outlet for whatever. So they're all aligned. Only 49% of the country, population wise, I guess, has legalized sports gambling. Doesn't mean people aren't doing it every which way. But this is big. I just want to give you a scope that it's really big. The revenue this year for DraftKings, I think it was over $6 billion, and they're finally going to
wow,
make a profit. So that's a long way to go. $6 billion goes through your hands. You're the accountant. That's a lot of money.
that's a lot of money. Yeah,
And you finally get a little piece of it at the end. Finally, so
yeah.
they've lost money. Their stock's around $43 or something. It's open
That's
to
what
40.
the Boston Celtics cost, $6 billion.
There you go. The Celtics actually make money. These folks have just starting to make money. But I know we're running out of time. But the three guys that started DraftKings, they worked together at Vistaprint. They were three guys working together. They had this idea. They launched with nothing. They did it like out of the typical story, out of their basement. They got it going. They're still on board. They have 5,100 employees, and I'm just talking about one
Wow.
company. So to me, that's fascinating. The way they've done all this, they get all the litigation, all the IT issues, big amounts of money, licensing for sports. It's just an amazing undertaking, and they've done it, and they've gotten to the point now. Like I said, they're going to finally make a profit. The CEO said he on his interview. This interview was just before the NFL opening day, and he said we did take a wager from somebody. It was a futures bet on the Vegas football team. Somebody bet $25,000 that we were going to win the Super Bowl. And you and I talked, and we said, "Is Tom Brady coming back to play?"
It's the only way they're going to get to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's playing.
So I got to leave you. We're going to run out of time.
Yep.
There's a great book out there. There's this guy Billy Walters. Some of you may have heard of him. Some of you may not. He's still around. He's probably 75 or 80 years old. Wrote a book. Just came out a year or two ago. Probably one of the best sports gamblers of all time. A lot of people claim that, but apparently he had 30 consecutive winning years. I'm not talking about a couple $100. He put together a whole organization. He won millions and millions and millions of dollars legally. He did go to jail for insider trading with a Phil Mickelson thing. That's another whole sideline. But in his book, if you want to read the book, it's fast moving. If you like this stuff at all, you leave his whole life story. It's really a neat story. And he'll lay out for you exactly how to do it, how he did the NFL, what the structure was. Good luck trying to put a team together to do that. But he gave you the whole formula and what he looked at and how he did it. So how they weren't just, oh, I like this guy. It was very analytical, but he lays it all
I
out
gotta
for
go.
you.
Yeah, I gotta read that. I want to go read that and see.
So
So
the story's
I
great.
think we're out of time.
We're out of time as usual.
Appreciate it, everybody. We have a X account at Tim Ken Podcast. So check us out on that. And we appreciate it, everybody. We'll be back in another week or so.
Yeah.
And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ken. Enjoy the Ryder Cup and great overview, great insight on the Ryder Cup.
Thanks,
I'm
Tim.
looking forward to it.
We'll
Thanks.
see you later. Bye.
Thanks.